I can evaluate expressions that require I follow the order of operations. Okay, and we're being asked to evaluate by plugging some values in. So we have x times y times z. So I have x, y, and z is 4. All right, so a negative times a negative is going to give me a positive 2. Then we're going to multiply by 4. 2 times 4, positive 2 times positive 4 is 8. Okay, we probably need a refresher on our integer rules, right? Multiplying and dividing. So here we have y, z, so that's y times z divided by x plus 2. All right, so following the order of operations, I need to do what's on top of the fraction bar, and then we're going to divide by what's on the bottom. So I have negative 2 times 4, that's negative 8, divided by a negative 1. You can put these in parentheses or not, it doesn't really matter. And then we're going to add 2. So I have negative 8 divided by negative 1 is 8, and then add 2. 8 plus 2. So that's going to give me 10. Now this one, we have 3. This is 3 times y squared, and y squared is negative 2 squared. The only thing being squared here is the y. The 3 is not being squared. This is 3 times the y squared. So we have negative 2 squared. Well, negative 2 squared is negative 2 times a negative 2. Right? Negative 2 times negative 2. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive 4. So this problem really becomes 3 times 4, which is a positive 12. Okay. The tricky part here is the only thing being squared is the y, so it's only the negative 2 you're multiplying by itself. That will be different than 13, which I'll show you in a second. So here we have x to the third, and x is negative 1. So that's negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive 1, and then we're going to multiply it by a negative 1. Well, 1 times a negative 1 is negative 1. Now here we have y times z in parentheses, so we need to do that multiplication first, then square it. So what is y times z? I have negative 2 times 4. Then square it. Right? PEMDAS says do what's inside the parentheses first. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8 squared. So I've got negative 8 times negative 8. And that's going to give me a positive 64. All right, number 14, we have z minus y. Z is 4 minus y, which is negative 2. So I have 4 minus a negative 2. Well, if you subtract a negative, it's the same as a big plus sign, 4 plus 2. So that's going to give me 6. And we're going to spend a day talking about why subtracting a negative is like adding a positive. But if that was something you remember from 7th grade, 4 minus a negative 2 is the same as 4 plus 2, which is 6. All right, x plus y, x plus a negative 2, minus z, negative 1 plus a negative 2 is negative 3, minus 4. All right. Negative 3 minus 4, that's going to be negative 7, not 1. Okay, subtracting 4 is the same as adding a negative 4, if you want to think of it that way. Negative 3 plus a negative 4, negative 7. All right, let's see here. Y squared, that's going to be negative 2, the quantity of negative 2 squared, minus 4 times x, which is negative 1, times z, which is 4. So here I have negative 2 times a negative 2. So that's going to give me 4. And then over here, let's see what we have. We have negative 4 times 1. Yes, this is minus 4, but I like to think of it as a negative 4 times a negative 1, which is a plus 4 times 4. So this becomes a plus 16. Right? The very last thing we're going to do is the addition subtraction. This subtraction became addition because it was a negative times a negative. So now I have 4 plus 16, which is 20. Okay. All right. Lots of little places you could have made errors. I think we need to spend a day on this.